Your father doesn't belong in an upscale apartment. With these words, my mother-in-law put my disabled father's wheelchair and belongings out on the landing. My husband didn't dare contradict her. When I came home, I didn't scream. I just made one phone call, and an hour later a man was standing at our door whose very appearance made my mother-in-law collapse to the floor. And before we continue, I'd really appreciate your support. Please like this story, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to leave a comment. Thank you so much, and enjoy listening. Marina ran her hand over the smooth, cool surface of the new kitchen table and smiled. It didn't feel real. After so many years of hopping between rentals, endless penny pinching, and working 2 jobs, she finally had a home of her own. The 2-room apartment in the new Emerald City residential complex smelled of fresh paint, laminate flooring, and happiness. From the panoramic window on the 12th floor, there was a view of a park under construction. The irony. It was her company that had won the bid to landscape it. This was her project, her brainchild, and now she could watch it being born right from her own window. Everything converged at one point, forming the perfect picture she had dreamed of for so long. A soft squeak of wheels came from the next room. Marina headed there at once. In the doorway sat her father, Gennady Petrovich, in his wheelchair. His face, usually stern and strong-willed, was softened now by a faint, slightly bewildered smile. "So, settling in, Commander?" Marina asked, tucking the blanket over his knees. "Trying to, dear." After the stroke, his voice had grown quieter, but hadn't lost its firmness. "It's strange. So spacious." Gennady Petrovich had been discharged from the rehabilitation center only a week earlier. Marina hadn't hesitated for a second. She brought him home to live with her. Her mother had passed away 5 years ago, and her father had been left alone in their old 3-room apartment on the other side of Moscow. After the stroke, he needed constant care, and Marina couldn't allow her father, a retired colonel, a strong and proud man, to end up in a nursing home. Besides, she owed him more than just filial love. He had made this apartment possible. When it came time to get a mortgage, the banks wouldn't approve the amount she needed. Then her father, without a word, sold his collection of presentation firearms, added all his savings, and put down 3 million rubles as the down payment. To protect both of them, he insisted on becoming an official co-borrower. "It's safer, dear," he'd said then. "It'll put your mind at ease, and I'll know you have a roof over your head no matter what." They agreed to tell no one about this detail, his official status as co-owner. Not even Artyom, her husband. Marina told him only that her father had helped with money. She didn't want it to become fodder for talk, or worse, for claims. "Dad, are you comfortable? Should I move the chair?" "I'm fine, don't fuss." "The main thing is you're here," Marina squeezed his warm, dry hand. The front door banged, and Artyom appeared in the hall. He was home earlier than usual, clutching a bag of groceries. "Hi, loves," Gennady Petrovich. "How are you?" His voice was cheerful, but worry flickered in his eyes. "All right, son-in-law." "Getting the lay of the land," her father joked. Artyom set the bag on the floor, walked over to Marina, and pecked her on the cheek. "Mum called. She'll be here in an hour. Wants to see the new place, help out." Marina felt herself tense inside. The words, "Tamara Pavlovna, my mother-in-law," and "help" in one sentence always gave her a shiver. Help from Tamara Pavlovna usually meant total control, unsolicited advice, and criticism of everything Marina did. "I thought we'd invite her at the weekend, once we've finished unpacking," she said carefully. "You know, Mom," Artyom shrugged apologetically. "She's impatient." "She worries about us," he added. "Said she's bringing her signature cabbage pie." He tried to smile, but it came out strained. Marina knew that smile. It appeared every time he had to navigate between her and his mother. He did love Marina, she had no doubt, but his mother, Tamara Pavlovna, was his highest authority. a rock whose opinion he valued above all else. The remaining hour passed in a flurry. Marina laid the table, trying to create a festive atmosphere. Artyom paced from room to room, straightening cushions, checking the bathroom was spotless. From his armchair, Gennady Petrovich watched silently, concern showing in his keen gaze. Years of service had taught him to read people. He could see the tension. At exactly 7 p.m., the doorbell rang, sharp and demanding. "I'll get it," Artyom blurted, hurrying to the hall.
Marina took a deep breath, bracing herself. She didn't yet know that this evening would mark the beginning of the end of her peaceful life, only that a cold draft of anxiety was seeping into their still unlived-in home, signaling a coming storm. Tamara Pavlovna entered not like a guest, but like an inspector with a surprise audit. Tall, heavy-set, with hair dyed a poisonous copper and arranged in an elaborate coiffure, she swept her proprietorial gaze over everything from the threshold. Her lips, tightly pressed and outlined in bright lipstick, twisted into something like a smile as she handed Marina a foil-wrapped pie. "Here, take it, daughter-in-law. At least my boy will get some real food. Otherwise, you must be living on convenient stuff." "Hello, Tamara Pavlovna. Thank you," Marina said, taking the still warm parcel and ignoring the jab. "Come in. We were just about to have dinner." Mother-in-law ignored the invitation's warmth and marched into the living room that opened onto the kitchen. Her eyes slid over the walls, furniture, windows. Marina could practically feel each item being silently, sternly judged. Artyom trotted alongside, peering into his mother's face with servile eagerness. "Well? Do you like it, Mum? Marina and I worked so hard." "Worked, yes, I can see that," she muttered, running a finger along the back of the new sofa. "But the color is so mousy, impractical. One drop and it's stained. You should have chosen something darker, maybe a check. And why is the sofa against this wall? It eats up the space. It should go by the window, TV opposite." She addressed all this to Artyom, as if Marina weren't even in the room. Then her gaze fell on the wheelchair where Gennady Petrovich sat. She froze for a moment, and her face took on a look of distaste that she quickly tried to hide behind a mask of sympathy.
"Ah, Gennady Petrovich, you're here too.
"Hello, how's your health?"
"Thank you, Tamara Pavlovna. Little by little," her father answered calmly, looking straight at her without blinking.
"Yes, I can see. Little by little," she sighed, glancing around. "Must be cramped for the three of you. A two-room place isn't a palace. How do you even fit?" Marina felt the blood rush to her cheeks. It wasn't a question, it was a statement, that her father was superfluous here. "We're not complaining," she interjected, keeping her voice level. "There's enough room for everyone." "Well, well," Tamara drawled meaningfully, settling in at the seat Artyom hastily pulled out for her. "The main thing is that my boy is comfortable. After work he needs to rest, not trip over extraneous objects." She didn't finish the sentence, but everyone understood the extraneous object was the wheelchair. Artyom coughed and hurried to change the subject, pouring wine. Dinner was tense. Tamara continued her inspection, now by taste. "The potatoes are undersalted," she announced after trying the mashed potatoes Marina had cooked. "And why so much mayonnaise in the salad?" "Pure cholesterol. Artyom, you shouldn't be eating that. You take after our side, you're prone to putting on weight." Marina ate in silence, eyes on her plate. She remembered that years ago, early in her relationship with Artyom, she had tried to argue with her mother-in-law to defend her cooking and housekeeping. It always ended the same. Tamara would roll her eyes, clutch her heart, and declare that this girl was going to be the death of her. Artyom would rush to soothe his mother, then ask Marina to be gentler and not argue with elders. In time, Marina learned it was easier to keep quiet. The energy spent on these pointless battles was too precious. After dinner, as Marina started clearing the dishes, Tamara followed her into the kitchen. She stood in the doorway, arms folded, and watched Marina load the dishwasher. "And you wasted money on this useless thing," she snorted. "Hands are faster and cleaner. All my life I've washed by hand and nothing fell apart." "It's convenient," Marina replied shortly, closing the door. "Convenient when you're lazy. I'll tell you what I was thinking. Artyom!" She raised her voice so her son could hear from the living room. The renovation is new, of course, but without a woman's touch, everything feels soulless. Boring wallpaper, hospital curtains. You need some coziness. Pictures, doilies. Marina tensed, sensing where this was going. She turned and looked her mother-in-law straight in the eyes. We like it the way it is, Tamara Pavlovna. We like minimalism. You like it? Tamara's eyebrows shot up. My dear, what do you know about taste? You're still young. You haven't developed one. I raised Artyom with good taste from childhood. We went to museums, read the right books. He understands true beauty. Don't you, son? Mama, come on, Artyom mumbled, appearing in the kitchen. Marina has good taste. I like everything. You think you like it because you love your wife and don't want to upset her. Tamara cut him off, patting his cheek. But as your mother, I'm telling you, the apartment is empty, cold, like a hotel. Hard for a man to live in such a place. Inside Marina, it was like a battle report. First strike at my taste, repelled. Second, at my housekeeping. Third, insinuation I'm a bad wife. What next? She felt like a tightrope walker over a precipice. One wrong word and she'd plunge into another scandal she'd be blamed for. Her father stayed silent, sipping tea and gazing out the window, pretending not to hear. Marina knew he understood everything. He simply didn't want to make it worse or cause problems for his daughter. That quiet support meant more to her than anything. The evening dragged on, and Marina longed for her mother-in-law to finally leave. But Tamara didn't seem in any hurry. She made herself comfortable on the sofa, turned on the TV, and began commenting on a series while giving Artyom instructions. Sweetie, bring me a throw. It's chilly. Make me some tea. Not a bag. Real brewed tea. Watching this, Marina had a bad feeling. Tamara behaved not like a guest who would soon go home, but like someone settling in. Artyom, where do you keep the bed linen? The question struck the room like thunder. Marina, who was gathering empty cups, froze. Artyom, sitting beside his mother, looked surprised. Mama, why? It's late. I'll call a taxi. What taxi, son? She asked, genuinely puzzled. I didn't come for a visit. I'm moving in. Well, for now. Until I help you get everything in order. The floor seemed to drop away beneath Marina. She put the cups down carefully, afraid to drop them. What do you mean, moving in? Her voice sounded muffled and strange. In the literal sense, dear. I decided you can't manage without me. Artyom works, you work. And your father, she nodded toward Gennady Petrovich, he needs looking after. So I thought I'd live with you for a month or two, help set up the household, teach you how to run things properly. I can see you're quite inexperienced. Marina looked at Artyom. His face showed a whole range of feelings. Confusion, embarrassment, fear of his mother, fear of his wife's reaction. He avoided her eyes, fingering the edge of a cushion. Mama, we didn't agree on this, he managed. What's there to agree on? Tamara threw up her hands. I want what's best. I'm doing this for you, ungrateful children. I thought you'd be happy. She didn't finish, but her look toward Marina made clear who was meant by you. Tamara Pavlovna, Marina said, cold anger rising. We appreciate your concern, but Artyom and I are adults. We can manage on our own. Manage? Tamara smirked. I've seen how you manage. Dust in the corners, undersalted potatoes. Your father left to fend for himself. No, this won't do. Family means everyone helps each other. And as the elder, I'm taking responsibility for order in this home. She squared her shoulders and headed for the hall closet. Now, where are the linens? I'll make up a bed in the small room. Artyom, help me pull out the sofa. The small room was Marina's study. Her desk with computer, shelves of landscape design books, her drawings, mood boards, her personal space, her creative workshop. That room is taken, Marina said firmly. It's my office. An office? Tamara turned, eyebrows climbing. My dear,
What offices in a 2-room apartment with 3.5 people living here? Don't make me laugh. Move your papers. I'm not proud. I don't need much space. She opened the study door without ceremony and switched on the light. Artyom, she called again. Come.
Help me, pale and miserable. Artyom got up and, without looking at his wife, went to obey his mother. Marina stood in the living room, feeling like a stranger in her own home. Her husband had just betrayed her, allowing his mother to invade their life, their space, her private world. Inside, the monologue turned into a scream. How could he? Why didn't he stop her? Doesn't he understand this is the end of their peace, their privacy, their family? She remembered their dreams when they bought the apartment, how the small room would be her office at first and later a nursery. They'd sat on the floor of the empty place, drank champagne from plastic cups and imagined their future. That future hadn't included Tamara living under their roof. Gennady Petrovich rolled up and gently touched her hand. "Don't, dear," he said softly. "Don't escalate." "Dad, but this is my home," Marina whispered, tears stinging. "I know. But sometimes it's better to yield to keep the peace." "What peace, Dad?"
"A peace where I live under my mother-in-law's orders, where my husband is afraid to say a word against her. That's not peace. That's capitulation." From the study came the sound of furniture scraping and Tamara's imperious voice. Marina realized she had to act. She wiped her tears, squared her shoulders, and headed for what was now apparently no longer her office. What she saw was worse than she expected. Artyom was obediently pushing her desk to the wall to make space for the pull-out sofa, and Tamara was already removing books and drawings from the shelves, stacking them carelessly on the floor. "This junk should go out on the balcony," she said, pointing at Marina's project folders. "Takes up space." Something inside Marina finally snapped. The patience she'd been stockpiling for years broke like an over-tightened string. "Don't touch my things." Marina's voice rang out sharp and loud in the small room. Tamara and Artyom froze and turned. Her face had an expression they'd never seen. Cold, detached, full of resolve. "What is it, dear?" Tamara was first to recover, slipping back into her condescending tone. "I'm just tidying up, making space." "You're not tidying up. You're invading my personal space and handling my work materials without permission," Marina said, enunciating each word as she took the folder for her latest project back from Tamara's hands. "Put everything back." Now Tamara pressed her lips together. Color flushed her face. "How dare you talk to me like that? I'm your husband's mother. I'm older than you. That doesn't give you the right to run my home and my office," Marina replied calmly, meeting her gaze. "Artyom!" Tamara screeched, turning to her son. "Do you hear how she talks to me? Do something, put her in her place." Artyom looked completely lost, eyes darting between his mother and his wife, not knowing whose side to take. "Marina, why are you starting again?" he muttered. "Mom just wanted to help." "Help?" Marina laughed bitterly. "Help me lose my workspace. Help us turn our life into hell. This isn't help. It's a land grab, and I won't allow it." She turned to her mother-in-law. "Tamara Pavlovna, I'm asking you to leave. Tonight." "You're throwing me out?" Tamara gasped. "Me? The mother of your husband? From my son's home?" "This isn't your son's home. It's our apartment bought on a mortgage," Marina corrected. "And yes, I'm asking you to leave. We are not ready to live together." "Artyom!" Tamara cried again. "She's throwing me out into the street. At night. My heart." She clutched her chest and began to breathe heavily. Artyom rushed to her. "Mom, calm down. Sit. Drink some water." "Marina, are you crazy? Look what you've done." "It wasn't me," Marina said. "She drove this situation to the absurd. I'm just defending our boundaries." "What boundaries?" Artyom groaned,
fanning his mother with a magazine. She's my mother. She can't be behind boundaries. Marina wanted to cry from helplessness and disappointment. Her husband, her supposed rock, had once again not chosen her. He was ready to sacrifice their peace, their family, just not to upset Mommy. Her father rolled in on the commotion. He stopped his chair in the doorway and surveyed everyone with a heavy gaze. What's going on? Even quiet, his voice made them fall silent. Nothing, Dad, Marina tried to smile. We're just arguing a little. Gennady Petrovich, your daughter is throwing me out, Tamara complained, switching to the new audience. I came to help the young couple and she... Her father looked at Artyom. Son-in-law, is that true? Artyom flushed deep red, dropping his eyes. It's a misunderstanding. Marina is just tired. The move... I'm not tired, Marina said firmly. I just don't want your mother living with us. I had the right to expect my husband to discuss it with me first, not present it as a fait accompli. Her father turned to Tamara. Tamara, were you really planning to live here? What of it? She shot back. I'm a mother. I have the right to be near my son. You do, but not at the expense of his own family, he cut her off. Young couples must live separately, an unwritten law, but the most important one. Tamara snorted. Oh, spare me your lectures. You raised a daughter who dares talk back to her husband, and now you're giving advice. Marina saw her father's face tighten. His helplessness, his dependence. He felt it keenly. And now this woman insulted him, taking advantage of his condition. Enough! Marina shouted, making even Artyom flinch. Don't you dare talk to my father like that. The conflict crested. The very air hummed with tension. Words had been said, after which there was no going back. Artyom, she said, turning to her husband, choose now. Either your mother packs and leaves tonight, or I live with my father. An ultimatum. Risky, desperate, but the only option left. Horror flashed in Artyom's eyes. Choosing between mother and wife was like choosing between life and death. Marina, don't, he whispered. Let's calm down and talk. We already talked. I'm waiting for your decision. Seeing him waver, Tamara went on the offensive. So that's how it is. You're blackmailing my son? You think he'll choose you, a drifter girl, over his own mother? He'll be lost without me. She took his arm. Sweetie, don't listen to her. She's jealous of our love. Come, I'll make you mint tea and you'll relax. She led him away like a docile calf. He threw Marina a helpless, apologetic glance. For Marina, it was crystal clear. He'd made his choice. The next few days turned into a cold war. Tamara didn't leave. She occupied Marina's study, turning it into her citadel from which she waged guerrilla warfare to prove her indispensability and Marina's utter uselessness. In the morning, she got up early to cook breakfast exclusively for Artyom. Marina was pointedly left with stale bread. Sweetie, eat up. You need your strength, she cooed, giving her son the best piece. Marina, you can finish yesterday's porridge. No point wasting food. Marina drank black coffee and left for work, feeling her mother-in-law's triumphant gaze on her back. Artyom pretended not to notice. He ate his mother's breakfasts, praised her cooking, and tried to avoid his wife. Evenings were worse. Tamara seized control of the kitchen, cooking heavy, greasy dishes Artyom loved and Marina hated. The house reeked of fried onions and cheap sunflower oil. She began colonizing the apartment. Embroidered cushions appeared on the sofa. Her numerous creams crowded out Marina's cosmetics in the bathroom. She even tried to rehang pictures until Marina caught her with a hammer and raised such a fuss that Tamara retreated, nursing a grudge. It was hardest on her father. Tamara treated him with ostentatious disregard, sighing theatrically when she had to walk past his chair, grumbling that his medicine made the place smell like a pharmacy, turning the TV up when she knew he was resting. Gennady Petrovich, could you not roll over the rug? Your wheels leave marks." "Should I drive on the parquet?" he asked. Marina clenched her fists, but her father begged her not to intervene. "Don't, dear. Don't make it worse." "I'll endure." Marina was torn in two. A major project at work demanding full concentration, deadlines looming, a picky client, and at home, an unbearable atmosphere where she had to be constantly on guard. One evening, exhausted after tough negotiations, she came home to find Tamara knitting in the living room, while her father struggled to reach a book that had fallen from a shelf. He stretched helplessly, unable to raise his arm. Tamara sat 2 steps away, pretending not to notice. "Tamara Pavlovna," Marina cried, rushing to her father. "Don't you see he needs help?" Tamara slowly lowered her knitting. "What do I have to do with it?" He didn't ask. "I thought it was his gymnastics. Good for the arms." Marina picked up the book and handed it to her father. His hands trembled. "Thank you, dear," he said quietly. That evening, Marina realized she couldn't keep splitting herself. She went to Artyom, who, as usual, was glued to his phone. "Artyom, we need to talk. This can't go on. Your mother is tormenting my father." "Again?" He didn't even look up. "Not again." She sat 2 meters away and watched him struggle to pick up a book. "That's not nothing. That's cruelty." "Maybe she didn't notice," he mumbled. "Didn't notice? She was 2 meters away. Open your eyes."
"Your mother is deliberately making life unbearable for my father so he'll want to leave. So I'll ship him off somewhere." He finally put down the phone. "What do you propose? Throw my mother out on the street? I propose you finally be a man and head of the family, and tell your mother that in this home there are rules, and one of them is respect for everyone, including my father." "I'll talk to her," he promised, without a shred of conviction. If he did, it had no effect. The next day Tamara was even more spiteful. She accidentally spilled water on Marina's drawings. "Oh, how clumsy I am," she said without apologizing. She hid the TV remote and claimed ignorance when her father asked for it. Marina felt close to a breakdown. Something had to give, and soon. Friday was especially intense. Marina had the final presentation of her project to the client and the management of Emerald City. Everything depended on it. Budget approval, kickoff, her career. She left early, kissed her sleeping father, and headed out. Artyom was still asleep. Tamara banged pots in the kitchen, exuding, "I'm the real mistress here." "Good luck, dear," her father whispered when she peeked in. "Break a leg." "Thanks, Dad," she smiled, straightening his blanket. "I'll try to be back early." The meeting dragged on. The clients were meticulous, the questions endless. Marina stood her ground, defending every detail. It felt like a battlefield, but one she understood. There were rules and logic here, unlike at home. At 5 p.m., the boss shook her hand. "Excellent work, Marina. They're thrilled. Budget approved. We start Monday." Relief and exhaustion washed over her. She'd done it. Now she could exhale and head home to the other war, the one without rules or logic. In the taxi, watching Moscow's lights, she knew a decision had to be made. The ultimatum had failed. Talks too. Tamara had sunk her claws in and wouldn't retreat. Artyom was paralyzed by her will. The choice would be Marina's, and it would be painful. When the taxi pulled up to their building, she noticed something odd. On the landing by their door stood her father's wheelchair. Beside it were 2 bags with his things. Her heart plummeted. She leapt out, paid, and rushed inside, barely feeling her legs. On their floor, she stopped. It was indeed her father's stuff, his clothes, books, chess set, a framed photo of Mom, all piled in a heap next to the wheelchair. Their apartment door stood ajar. Marina pushed it open. Artyom stood in the hall in house slippers, eyes wide with frightened, hunted guilt. "Marina, I just got here." Tamara emerged from the living room, triumph and irritation written on her face. "Ah, you showed up," she hissed. "I decided to tidy up a bit, free some space. We couldn't breathe with all that junk." Marina scanned the room. The living room did look roomier.
Where her father's chair had stood, Tamara's big potted ficus now reigned.
"Where is my father?" Marina asked quietly. The quietness scared Artyom. "In his room," Tamara waved. "I gave him a little stool. No need for him to be in the living room all the time like a statue. People need privacy." She casually adjusted her copper coiffure and added the sentence that slammed the lid on Marina's family life. "In general, your old man has no place in an elite apartment. He belongs in a care home chatting with seniors. Young people live here. They want to live, not play nurse." Artyom stood with his head bowed, silent. He'd seen it all and done nothing, said nothing to defend his father-in-law, nothing against his mother. Marina walked past them into her father's room. He sat on a small kitchen stool in the corner, back straight, chin up like on parade. But she saw his hands trembling on his knees, and the unshed tears of humiliation in his eyes. A retired colonel, a man who'd fought 2 wars and commanded thousands, was now humiliated, insulted, and thrown out of his own home like a useless thing. She knelt, taking his cold hands. "Dad, forgive me." "It's not your fault, dear," his voice quavered. "It's me." "Never say that," Marina said firmly, meeting his eyes. "Do you hear me?" She stood. Cold, clean fury filled her with strength and clarity. No pain, no resentment, just icy resolve. She knew exactly what to do. She left his room and closed the door behind her. In the living room, husband and mother-in-law awaited. Artyom stood, head sunk into his shoulders. Tamara had settled into a chair, defiant, expecting tears, a scene, reproaches. She was ready to defend, attack, accuse, but Marina was silent. She went to the window and gazed for a few seconds at the city lights, at the park that would soon be her creation. The silence became almost tangible. "Well, why are you quiet?" Tamara snapped. "Nothing to say?" realized who runs this house. "Yes," Marina said softly, turning. "I have." She took her phone from her bag. "Going to complain to Daddy?" Tamara sneered. "He won't help you, poor cripple." "No," Marina shook her head, dialing. "I'll call someone who will." Her fingers didn't tremble. She pressed the call button, held the phone to her ear. Artyom and Tamara watched, puzzled. The police? A friend? Her calm was disconcerting. The line picked up almost immediately. "Hello, Andrei Nikolaevich. This is Marina, daughter of Colonel retired Gennady Petrovich Voitov." Tamara stiffened. The full name and rank sounded unusually weighty. "Yes, Marina," came a low, confident male voice. "I'm listening." "Is something wrong with your father?" "He's fine, but we have a problem. A violation of a property owner's rights." Artyom's head jerked up. Tamara frowned, trying to follow. "Andrei Nikolaevich, my father, Gennady Petrovich, is a co-borrower and thus co-owner of our apartment. He paid 100% of the down payment. I have all the documents." Marina spoke clearly, as if reading an official statement. Artyom stared, stunned. He hadn't known. He'd assumed his father-in-law had simply gifted them the money. It had never occurred to him that the man had the same rights to the apartment as they did. "Today, in my absence, my husband's mother," Marina paused, looking straight at Tamara, "put his personal belongings and wheelchair out on the landing and is obstructing his free movement in the apartment. In effect, she is trying to evict him from his own home." Tamara's face slowly lengthened. The colour drained in ugly blotches. "What nonsense," she hissed. "What owner?" "I can send scans of the documents," Marina continued, ignoring her. "And I have a witness, my husband, who saw everything and did nothing." Silence on the line for a few seconds. "Address?" Andrei said, curtly. She gave it. "I'll be there within the hour. Do nothing. Don't argue.
Just wait. Thank you, Marina said and hung up. She set the phone on the table and surveyed the stunned relatives. Artyom looked at her with a mix of terror and admiration. He'd never seen his quiet, accommodating wife like this. Tamara seemed carved from stone, her face frozen in disbelief and fear. "Who was that?" she managed. "Who did you call?" "An old comrade of my father's. He now heads a department in the bailiff service," Marina replied calmly. "He's coming to restore my father's lawful residence rights." "Bailiffs?" Artyom echoed, voice shaking. "Why bailiffs? We can't," Marina cut him off. "You made your choice when you allowed your mother to humiliate my father. Now other people will act, people in uniform." She sat in the very chair Tamara had just vacated and deliberately crossed her legs. For the first time in a long while, she felt in control. The emotional break of seeing her father humiliated had given way to ringing resolve. She was no longer a victim. She was defending her family and her territory, and she would go to the end. The hour crawled. Tamara paced like a caged tigress, her confidence evaporating into panic. She would rush to Artyom, then start shouting at Marina, "Are you insane? Calling bailiffs on your husband's own mother? You want to disgrace our family before the whole building." "Our family was disgraced when you put a sick man's things out on the landing," Marina retorted, not rising. "Artyom, tell her." Tamara clutched her son's arm. "Tell your wife to call it off. We can settle this pale as a sheet." Artyom tried to say something, but the words stuck. He looked at Marina beseechingly. "Maybe don't. Call and say we worked it out." "I've decided nothing," she said crisply. "You decided when you stayed silent. Now those empowered by the law will decide." Tamara began dragging Gennady Petrovich's things back inside, huffing as she tried to wedge the wheelchair into the narrow hallway. "See? I put everything back. No problem." Marina watched the farce without a word. It wasn't about the things anymore. It was about drawing lines once and for all, and showing who had a right to be heard. She remembered her father before his illness, strong, confident, always fair. "The main thing, dear," he would say, "is honor and dignity. You can't buy or sell them. You can only keep them or lose them." Today she fought not only for his rights, but for the dignity trampled by this domineering, cruel woman. In that moment, watching her panicking mother-in-law and helpless husband, Marina understood. Their marriage was over. She couldn't live with a man who had so easily betrayed her, who allowed her closest person to be humiliated. Even if he came to his senses now and begged forgiveness, the crack would never heal. Something inside her had died. Love, trust, hope, reduced to dust. She stood and faced Artyom. "When this is over, you'll pack your things and leave, with your mother." "Marina, you can't," he stammered. "Where will I go?" "Where you belong, to your mother." Her voice was icy. "You're a perfect match. She'll make you cheese pancakes and you'll obey her every whim." "But I love you." "No, Artyom. You love comfort, and I stopped being comfortable for you." The doorbell sounded like the gong for the final round. Marina went to open it. In the doorway stood two uniformed men and a third in a plain dark suit. Andrei Nikolaevich Voronov. Tall, grey-haired, his face seemed hewn from granite. "Good evening, Marina Gennadievna," he said formally. "We're here on your call." "Please come in," she said, stepping aside. At that moment, her father emerged from his room, dressed in his dress uniform with medals. Back straight, eyes clear, he wouldn't greet his comrade as a humiliated victim. "Hello, Andrei," he said, extending a hand. "Hello, Gina." Warmth flickered in Voronov's stern eyes as he gripped it. "You don't look your best, Colonel." "I've looked better," her father smirked, "but we'll manage." The turning point had come. Justice would prevail. Voronov entered the living room, and the atmosphere changed instantly. His presence, calm authority, and the uniforms had a sobering effect. Tamara froze by the window, clutching the curtain. Artyom stood in the middle, pale and confused. "All right," Voronov began, sweeping them with a heavy gaze. I am Andrei Nikolaevich Voronov, Department Head, Federal Bailiff Service. We are here in response to a complaint by citizen Marina Genadievna Voitova regarding violation of the property rights of citizen Gennady Petrovich Voitov. He paused to let it sink in. According to the property register, this apartment is jointly owned by Voitova MG and Voitov GP in equal shares.
Gennady Petrovich, do you confirm that obstacles have been created to your use of your property? Confirm, her father said firmly from his chair. My personal belongings and my means of mobility were placed on the landing. I was denied free access to the common area of the apartment. That's a lie, Tamara squealed. She made it up. She jabbed a finger at Marina. She wants to slander me and throw me out. Voronov didn't even glance at her. He took photos from a folder. We have photographic evidence. The wheelchair and personal items on the landing. Neighbors have already given preliminary statements. Tamara fell silent, paling further. Citizen Kovalyeva Tamara Pavlovna, he read. What is your relation to the owners? I'm the mother of her husband, she stammered. So legally, no one, Voronov stated. On what grounds are you on these premises and disposing of other people's property? I'm a guest of my son. Guests don't throw out the owner's belongings, he said coolly. Citizen Kolyov Artyom, he turned to Artyom. You are the spouse of one of the owners. Did you witness unlawful actions against the other owner, Gennady Petrovich? Artyom swallowed, looking from his mother to Marina to Voronov's hard face. I don't know. I just got here. Don't lie, Marina cut in. You saw everything. You were home when your mother took the things out. My mum said it would be better, for order, he muttered. Voronov shook his head. Understood. Here's how this will go. Citizen Kovalyeva, he addressed Tamara again. Under Article 304 of the Civil Code of the Russian Federation, an owner may demand elimination of any violation of his right, even if those violations are not connected with dispossession. I am handing you an official order to immediately seize any actions that violate the rights of Gennady Petrovich Voitov and to vacate the living premises you occupy within 24 hours. He held out the form. Tamara stared at the paper as if it were a venomous snake. Evict me? She whispered. You have no right. We do, Voronov said. Failure to comply will result in enforcement measures and an administrative case. In plain terms, he lowered his voice. If you're here tomorrow, you'll be escorted out by police. He turned to Artyom. As for you, young man, I suggest you reflect on Article 119 of the Criminal Code. Threats or violent actions against a person in connection with their official or civic duty. Gennady Petrovich is disabled. The law is particularly strict in such cases. But I didn't do anything, Artyom cried. Exactly. Your inaction may be considered complicity. Marina watched with detached satisfaction. This was more than a legal process. It was justice. She saw Tamara's world collapse, built on manipulation and impunity. She saw her husband finally face the consequences of his cowardice. I'll pack my things now, Tamara muttered, backing toward the door. You have 24 hours, Voronov reminded. He went to her father. Jenna, if there's any more trouble, call me anytime. Thank you, Andrei, her father said, gripping his hand. You didn't let me down. We don't abandon our own, Voronov replied briskly. He nodded to Marina and after giving final instructions to the local officer, left. Silence fell, briefly. It was broken by a theatrical wail. Tamara had dashed to Marina's former study, collapsing on the sofa in loud, showy sobs meant for one spectator, her son. Prison! They want to put your own mother in prison. For what? For wanting order? For caring about you? Artyom rushed to her, lost, stroking her back, offering water, mumbling nonsense. Mom, calm down. No one's going to jail.
It's just a formality. Marina and her father remained in the living room. He closed his eyes, weary. She placed the hand on his shoulder. It's all right, Dad. Now it will be all right. I know, dear. He opened his eyes, full of love and pride. You're a real fighter, just like me. From the other room came Tamara's sobs and Artyom's soothing. After a while, Artyom appeared, pale and drawn. He stopped in the doorway, hesitant. Marina, he began, desperate. We need to talk. I didn't know, honestly, I didn't know that Gennady Petrovich was a co-owner. I thought he just gave us the 3 million. And even if he weren't an owner, would that change anything? Marina finished for him. Would it cancel the fact that you and your mother humiliated a helpless man? That you put his things out of the home where he was a guest? I was wrong, he whispered. I panicked. Mum pressured me so much. She always pressures you, and you always cave.
That's the problem. Artyom! Tamara's voice rang out. Where are you? I feel ill. Call an ambulance. He flinched and threw Marina a pleading look. Go, she said calmly. Your mother needs you. Grateful, he disappeared. Marina went to the window. The city glittered. Life went on, but her own had taken a sharp turn. Half an hour later, Artyom returned. I called a taxi for Mom, he reported. She'll go home, pick up her things tomorrow. Good, Marina nodded. She's very hurt. Said she'll never set foot in this house again. That's probably for the best. He stepped closer. Marina, forgive me. I ruined everything. I was blind. I was a coward. But I love you. Give me another chance. I'll fix it. I'll talk to Mom. Too late, Artyom, Marina said gently. You already said and did everything. Or rather, you said and did nothing when it mattered. I can change. I'll prove it. I don't want to wait for you to change. I don't want to fight your mother all my life for your attention. I want peace. I'm filing for divorce. He stared at her, eyes brimming. Because of one day, you'll destroy everything? Because of one quarrel? It wasn't one day. It was years. Today it just came to the surface. Today I saw what you're capable of, and what you're not. Tamara, now dressed with a bag in hand, appeared in the doorway and shot Marina a scorching look. Let's go, son. She doesn't want you or your love. She only wants the apartment. It's my apartment too, Mum, came an unexpectedly firm voice from the corner, her father. My daughter's and mine, and we'll decide who lives here. Tamara snorted, grabbed Artyom's hand, and pulled him out. At the door he looked back, his gaze full of pain and despair, but he left with his mother, leaving Marina and her father in their emptied, but finally free, apartment. The conflict was resolved. Tamara had suffered a crushing defeat. Her power, her manipulation, her authority, all collapsed in one evening. The denouement brought a bitter but necessary relief. The worst was over. 3 months passed. A timid first snow covered the city. Marina sat at her desk, making final edits to the park project. Her study was her study again, quiet, cozy, smelling of coffee and wood. Books and folders lined the shelves, sketches and mood boards hung on the walls. Nothing recalled Tamara's brief but destructive incursion. The divorce went quickly. Artyom didn't argue. They sold the car bought during the marriage and split the money. The apartment remained with Marina and her father. Artyom moved to a rental. Rumor had it near his mother. He called once, the day he picked up the last of his things, saying he'd been wrong, that he missed her. Marina listened in silence and hung up. She wasn't going back.
Her father ruled in. Since that memorable evening, he seemed to have revived.
Confidence returned. The commander's glint was back in his eyes. He read a lot, did therapeutic exercises, even tried cooking, turning the kitchen into a testing ground for culinary experiments. "Working again, dear?" he asked, rolling up. "You should rest." "Just the finishing touches, Dad," Marina smiled, saving the file. "Final handoff is tomorrow." "I'm proud of you," he said simply. Marina came over and hugged him. "I'm proud of you too, Dad." Evenings they often sat like that, drank tea, talked, or just looked out the window in comfortable silence. Their small world, their fortress they had defended together. Marina no longer felt alone. She had her father, a job she loved, and plans for the future. Sometimes she thought of Artyom, not with resentment or anger, but with a quiet sadness. He wasn't a bad person, just weak, broken by a domineering mother, unable to grow up. Maybe one day he'd break free, but that would be his story, his battle. Hers was over. She had won. The next day Marina aced her presentation. Management was thrilled. She was offered to head a new department. That evening, coming home, she bought a cake and a good bottle of champagne. "We're celebrating, Commander," she announced at the door. "I got promoted." "I never doubted it," her father smiled. They sat in their cozy kitchen, drank champagne and ate cake. Snow fell outside. For the first time in a long while, Marina felt completely happy. She had endured humiliation and betrayal, but came out stronger. She had found not only a home, but herself, a strong, independent woman who knew her worth and how to defend her boundaries. Life went on, and she was ready for new chapters she would write by her own rules. Thank you for listening to the end. If this story touched you, don't forget to like and subscribe. Every story is someone's lived experience that can help us become wiser and stronger. See you next time.